How about now, everyone? Hello. Sorry about that. Look at that. See? Get back to the studios. We're back in the Filler Up studios down in the bunker. And here we go. We're good to go. As always, I'm Joe Vollano. I am your host and your guiding light through what's going to be a crazy couple of years. If we look at what's going on around us, maybe the surrounding towns know something that Meriden people just don't. And we'll get into that. As always, this show always works best when you are involved in it. Give us a call, 203-679-9610, or you can email us, straighttalkjv@gmail.com. Or, as always, if you're on YouTube or Facebook, you can always join in on the chat message board. I try to keep up on it and find out what you guys are talking about. But listen, an election is come and gone. And disappointing, to say the least, here in Meriden. I look at surrounding towns, Berlin, Southington, Cheshire, Wallingford, Middlefield, all went hard Republican. Because they understand that if you want to move a city or town forward, you can't do it on liberal policies. For the folks here in Meriden, for the 11% that showed up to vote, I mean, 11%. I mean, that number is pretty sad. 11% show up to go out and determine which direction their city wants to go in. But it is what it is, election, we do our job as much as we can and try to get the word out there. But, I learned a couple things while out there on the path. I had some great discussions with Democrats while on election day. So, that stack of papers here. Yeah, this stack of papers right here. Is this what you're looking at? I'll tell you what this stack of papers is. We're going to go over one piece of it. But this is some very interesting stuff here. But don't get ahead of me there, Jennifer. Just focus on what I'm saying. So, now that she made me lose my train of thought. I'm back on it. Okay, so we look at the towns around us, and they all went Republican. They all understand. If you look at the towns around us, they are moving in the right direction. Well, we stay stagnant. And we stay stagnant because there's no leadership here. And the problem is they also have a much more informed public. And apparently me calling someone uninformed a Democrat made them lose their mind. But they were. And before I was interrupted, I was talking about the conversations I was having with some of the poll workers. Well, not poll workers, the sign holders for the other side. And I realized when I was talking to the public, and I was talking about the $8 million that are owed to us for over water payments for the last 10 to 12 years, they had no idea what I was talking about. When I talked about Fontanella, I was in front of Fontanella, and I was like, how can you vote to fire someone and not know anything about it just because someone told you to? Is that leadership? And he just gave that shit-eating grin. Because they know that nobody's paying attention. They know their voters aren't paying attention. They just come out and pull that D. Every time. So as I'm talking to these people, and I'm talking to these sign holders, they have no idea what the people that are on their poll, they have no idea what they're doing. And I saw the shock in a few of their eyes while I'm sitting there educating them. I'm educating them at the polls as they're holding a sign for a candidate that has no reason for being there. But then I saw a post. On Facebook. And I want to quote from. I'm not going to say who it's from. She'll know who it's from. But here's what it says. I would suggest during the review of this election, both parties examine not just their platform and their candidates, but their message, how it was delivered, and who was chosen to deliver that message. If the message is off-putting or delivered by people who have little respect by the majority of the community, then it will simply fall on deaf ears. Now think about what she just said. And this is liberal logic. And this is liberal tactics 101. You can't say anything that's going to hurt their feelings, or you're immediately, no matter what you say, you're a liar, or you're trying to distort the truth. But that is the liberal mindset. It's the liberal mindset. When they fear you, they have no choice but to try to destroy you and discredit you. Because once they do that and they plant that image in people's heads, even though we know it's not true, they do exactly what she says. They turn it off. And they don't believe it. Even though they're facts, they still won't believe it. Because it's coming from you. So I think that message was obviously directed towards me, which is fine. I don't care. But just the point that if that's what people are doing, that is dangerous. You have to be willing to get your head out of your ass. If someone is telling you facts, this is the problem they had with Donald Trump. Everything he was saying was 110% accurate and factual. But because he said it in a way that hurt their feelings, they wouldn't believe it. And most people went out there and voted against Donald Trump, not because Biden was a better candidate, but because they hated Trump. Because that's what was planted in their heads for 4 years by the media and by Democratic leadership. That's the same thing that's happening here. It's not the fact that we were wrong or right, but the fact that we did it in a way that might have hurt somebody's feelings, well, now they can't listen to you at all. Because I'll be damned if they're going to go get it for themselves. They're not going to learn themselves. They have these robots. That's what they are. They're robots out there. Just sitting there going, hey, vote Democrat, vote Democrat. Not knowing anything about what's going on in the city, not knowing anything about the candidates on the poll. They're just doing as they're told. The problem is, Mr. Fontanella is not an outlier. Mr. Fontanella is what liberals are. They will do as they're told. They're puppets because they're uninformed. And when you're uninformed, you will do as others will tell you to do because you respect their opinion. So my good friend that wrote that Facebook post, while I do love her to death, has really nailed it on that way liberals think. And she is a liberal. She's a hardcore liberal. But she has shown you the mindset of a liberal. If their leadership demonizes someone enough, if they try to discredit them enough, liberals will tune that person out, even though that person is sharing with them facts that they need to know. And it's a scary thing. Really, those type of people, that comment, those type of people are the most dangerous people, not only in the city and state, but in the country. Because they're not receptive to know anything other than what's being fed to them by their party. They're being spoon-fed what they want to hear, which is Republicans are bad, Democrats are all great. But then yet you look at the surrounding towns and cities around us that are booming, and what's Meriden doing? What's Meriden doing? Nothing. Absolutely nothing. It's crazy. I don't know what the people of Meriden were thinking. And I don't feel bad for the candidates. I think Elaine Cariotti, who ran for mayor, put it perfectly, did perfectly. She's not mad that she lost or she's sad that she lost. She's sad about the people. She's sorry and sad about what's about to happen to the people of this city over the next 2 years. What's going to happen to our police department over the next 2 years? Mr. Arlette just joined us. Congratulations, sir. Mr. Arlette is our newest city councilor in the city of Meriden. But unfortunately, they still have a supermajority. It's an 8-4 majority. So even if the mayor was to veto CRB, it's still going to pass. I said it for the last couple of weeks. Police chief is going to be put on notice starting, probably already started. They probably already reached out to him. We're in for a very, very crazy 2 years. And apparently everyone around us is aware of what's going on except for Meriden, where about 11% of the people came out and voted. 11%. Do they care? Apparently not. It's crazy. Let's talk about what we have to look forward to. CRB is going to be here. Police officers are going to be heading for the door. Fire department going to be heading for the door. That is a fact. This council is going to start ramming down social justice. They're going to be ramming it down your throat. Social justice policies. That's what's coming. That's what people voted for. I don't know how in hell you vote for something like that. But that is what we voted for. Well, I didn't vote for that way. We are living in some crazy times. And I tell you what, if you're a conservative, if you're a homeowner, if you're a taxpayer in this city, buckle up. It's going to be a hell of a ride. We got a majority leader who's more worried about keeping a project, the library, under a public referendum, under the public referendum limit. So when people are sitting there saying, no, we don't want this, her question is to the attorneys is this public referendum eligible? because we don't want the public having a voice in this. We don't want them talking. We don't want them having a discussion about this anymore. The people voted. The council voted for $6.8 million, $7.8 million with the million from the state. Now all of a sudden it's ballooned to $13 million. And they want to make sure you, the people, don't have an opportunity to voice your opinion about it. I don't know, guys. I mean, how do we combat something like this? Again, because she is the typical liberal. How do you fight that? How do you fight that mindset where they vote on emotion based instead of facts? If you have an idea, let me know. Because I don't get it. I really don't. They vote based on emotion when the facts are staring them in the face that emotion is going to ruin this city. And they go and do it anyways. So I bet everyone's wondering what this big stack of paper is on the side of me. Well, this little paper here, that's the final draft that was never released to the public for the forensic audit that was done on the Public Utilities Division. Interesting reading, by the way. It is story time. So, I'm only going to go through a couple of sections on here. Everything here, I will post all this. So I will post all this even with all my my highlights, because as I read them and points I want to bring out to you, I want to make sure that you guys, I just get the main points for the brief time we have together, and then you're more than welcome to, like I said, to scan this on your own. So, obviously, the PUD, the Public Utilities Division or Department, was being overcharged, and they found out. So they put together so they spent, now this thing cost us $37,000. $37,000 for this report. And here is the project approach. At that time, the financial support of the purchasing, all the different divisions, were likely based on equitable contribution as services provided. However, it appears that in the early 2000s, now, can anyone guess who came to town in the early 2000s? Lupkiskin, in case you were wondering. However, it appears that cost contributions at that time from the PUD increased by 3% per year, regardless of the actual increase in each department's budgets over the past 12 years. So even though each department went up maybe 1%, or sometimes less, they charge the PUD 3% every year, fixed. Because of this, the PUD now believes that the contributions are disappropriate share of many departments' budgets. And And this is what I'm going to put up while I'm reading this, because this is really just the basis of it. So if you look at what you're seeing on the screen there, information technology, these are all the different departments that provide services to the water department. Now on the left, obviously it's the 2017, 2018 when this was published. That was their yearly budget for each department. The water department paid that much of the department's that department's budget. Some of them, like Public Works and Engineering, 88%. IT department, 34%. Tax collector, 66%. So overall, they pay 37%. Grossly overcharged. Now, what does that mean? Let's just get down to the basics. To the basics of what that means. That means your water and sewer bill for the past 12 years, and maybe still happening today. I have a phone call into the finance department, and if I don't hear back tonight from them, I'm going to be stopping down there tomorrow. I want to know, did they implement these recommendations from the audit, or did they not? Are we still grossly overpaying? That's what I want to know. But as of right now, you, the city taxpayer, for the last 12 years since this was put out, the public utilities was paying $871,000 in excess of what they should have. Which means after 12 years, close to $10 million. $10 million. Now, the problem with that is not everybody in this city pays water and sewer. If you're on a well and a septic, you don't pay anything. For us that do have water and sewer, your taxes were a lot higher for your water and sewer. That's what that means. So not only was the PUD being overcharged in certain areas, you as a consumer were being overcharged. And Guy Scaife found that out because he looked at Lupkus's ridiculous way of projecting numbers and said, this isn't right. And this isn't the only department. This isn't the only. Now, anyone who doesn't know, because again, this is probably like inside baseball kind of stuff. If you're not paying attention to it, you probably don't know. Our public utilities division is an enterprise fund. That means it's controlled not by the city per se. It has its separate committee. It has a separate commission, the PUC, that oversees everything at the water department. Just like the golf course is an enterprise fund. It is overseen by the golf commission, who again, we complained when I was on the golf commission, we complained about Mike Lupkus's way of doing numbers because we were done with our bonding. And then Lupkus said, no, you got 5 years left on your fund, on your bonding, which was totally wrong. And then when asked for the numbers, we never got them. They just prolonged it. So this isn't the only fund that was being overcharged for city services on your dime. But let's get into some of these because they are quite interesting. And like I said, I want to get to the ones that I highlighted because I don't want to be here all day on it. I had just the most egregious ones. So for the IT department, at the time of the interview, so the IT maintains all the computers and cell phones in the city. At the time, they had 17 computers, 14 cell phones, represented 3.4% of all computers and 7.8% of all cell phones. But they were paying 34% of the entire budget for the IT department. Now, anyone in their right mind would notice immediately that this is that has been misappropriated. Same thing with human resources. 42%. 42% for 50 employees out of over 400. Actually, I'm sorry, 672. 672 employees. PUD has 50, 7%. But yet they're paying 42% of the human resources budget, which is right here. It is absolutely crazy. It gets worse. The tax collector, they're paying 66%. 66% of the tax collector's budget, when they do maybe 40% of the work. This all equals a lot of money. A lot of money. Like I said, over $10 million. Make sure I have the right one here. For the Public Works Division, they paid 88% of Public Works. Ladies and gentlemen, this is a crazy, crazy document here that really goes into depth on exactly, like I said, I'm going to post this because you really need to read it. The city garage. The city garage, they were paying 27% of the city garage's budget. The police and fire weren't even paying close to that. And they use it the most. And I want to know if these recommendations, all right, because this is their conclusion. Based on the discussions with different, now they met with every single department head. They sat down with every single department head. And based on the discussions with different department directors interviewed as part of this evaluation, and based on comparisons with other municipalities, it appears that the financial support provided by the Meriden Public Utilities Division is inequitable and for some departments may be considered excessive. You think? 88%, 66%, 42%? You don't think that's... Yeah, I would say that's a little excessive. But they put out some recommendations, which now I'm waiting to hear back to see if they actually put any of these in action. Because their recommendations was to do fixed incomes, fixed amounts for certain divisions. IT department, they should be paying 4%. Let me rephrase that. Their recommendation, 4%. They're paying currently 34%. Legal department should be 15% as it is. HR department should be 7.4%. It's at 42 right now. And this thing goes on and on and on. I did I not put this one up there? I thought I had put this one on there. Apparently I did not. But they actually put out a recommendation of what we should be putting for each one. I'm going to try to bring this up here because I think it is important to put up there. Okay. Here's the recommendations. I was able to find it quickly. Here's the recommendation of where it should be. Now, I want to know, as a city council, as the acting city manager, and really, I want to know as the PUD director, did this take place? Have these been fixed? Because if we are going off those proposed ones, which is the correct allocation as it should be, is that happening? Or are you and I still being grossly overcharged for water and sewer? For services they're not getting from these departments. Because remember, not everybody pays water and sewer. So we as taxpayers are being disproportionately overcharged. This is crazy stuff here. And this is just the beginning, ladies and gentlemen. This is just what got the ball started rolling. This was the first thing that Guy Scaife found. And remember, this is the report that was about to come out 2 days after Guy Scaife was fired. And Guy Scaife was going to take this report and fix the problems in the budget. And Democrats stopped them. Democrats, some that are still sitting in office today, stopped you from being overcharged. Stopped from you from not being overcharged. People did not know anything about this. Their fellow Democrats knew nothing about it. The normal Democrat that's sitting out in the parking lot or walking out down the street has no idea about any of this, about any of the doings going on at City Hall. But they just go and pull that D. And that's how we get into the problems we're into today. It's absolutely crazy. What I'm finding and what I'm reading is scary stuff. That this is what's going on in our city. So if you're wondering what this is, so and this is again amazing. All of this stuff came ready to go on Election Day. Not before Election Day. On Election Day, they released this stuff. They don't want anybody reading it. They don't want anyone knowing about it. But if you follow us on Facebook, you're going to see a lot of this stuff start getting dropped. So I'm going to be dropping this stuff periodically as I go through it. And you'll see, and when you see it online in file form, you'll notice all my highlights are all the point pieces that you need to know about. So what I have here are all the depositions from Mr. Scaife, city employees, city council, so Castro, Batista, who else is here? Michael Quinn, can't wait to see that one, our state rep. Cheryl Costello, who's Dennis was. He was PUD director at the time. So I'm really interested to have some good reading to see what he was actually going through and what he was seeing, because he is the man that actually started this report, because he knew they were getting robbed. Stephen Gardner, I don't know who that guy is. I can't wait to read it because I don't know exactly who he is. Russell Ford, who obviously was working for the city at the time. Then we get into some of these nice big ones of David Lowell. I was surprised to find this thick one of David Lowell. And the reason why this one's so interesting to me, because, again, Daniels, I don't believe wanted any part of this. I think there's going to be some stuff in here on David Lowell that's going to raise some eyebrows and wonder why he took over leadership. He took over majority leadership in the council, and then a week later, guy was gone. So that timeline is very disturbing. And I look at the size of this deposition, and I think there's going to be some interesting stuff in there that he's really going to have to answer for, even though he's in, Berlin now, so he don't give a crap. He took off as fast as he could. Kathy Batista is another one. I think we already know some of the damning evidence of Kathy Batista already, just for the couple of comments that she had on there. But that should be an interesting one, especially since she's considering running for city council again next term. Yeah, of course, here's my favorite one. Deposition of Sonia Jelks. This is the one I'm dying to read, but I'm not going to read it yet. I'm going to start with Guy Scaife. I want to go with Guy Scaife first because I want to know everything he found and then have a good summary before I start diving in to some of these. Or maybe just break it down by his accusation. So if he's talking about Sonia Jelks first, I'll stop halfway through and jump in and read hers. And there's more documents to come. So this isn't the end. This is not the end by any means. Listen, an election has come and gone. The results are what they are. We're not ones to sit there and cry like a bunch of babies and sit there and whine all for the next 2 years. But I'll tell you what, my objective and my job of exposing them is far from over and is not going to stop just because an election is over. All of this stuff will come out to the public. All of it. And I will be releasing all of this for the public to see. Because they need to see it. The question is, how do we get this stuff to the robots? How do we get this stuff out there to the robots that don't want to believe what's going on? Because that really is the uphill battle. I still want to leave these out of my order that I have. How do we stop the mind-numb robots from destroying our city? Read a section at a time at the council meetings. That is interesting. I probably will do some of that. I probably will take a couple of passages and read them to the public. But again, back to what the young lady wrote on her Facebook page. Just because you're reading them facts, their own words. I mean, come on. We just talked about it a week ago. We were reading them their own words back. And people were still going, Democrats are still out there saying, oh, those are all lies. They're all lies. Even though the form itself said it's undisputed. Undisputed. Facts. And you have people like that have that mindset, that are like, no, it can't be true because he's saying it in a way that's hurting my feelings. And since he's hurting my feelings, he can't be telling me the truth. I thought those were Gen Ys or Gen Zs, whatever the hell they are now. That was a baby boomer saying it. because you're hurting my feelings, I can't believe you anymore. Because you're mean, nope, you're not right anymore. How do we fight that? We don't have enough money to fight that, because literally that's really what it takes. You literally have to just bang it into their freaking heads. that is always fun. Listen. I always like a good microphone in my hand with a speaker, and let me go around town and have a blast. Maybe we should have story time down on the green. Maybe that's a good idea. Maybe we'll read these down on the green sometime. But guys, this is what we're facing. Now, again, we're never going to give up. We're never going to give up. We are going to continue on. We have to make sure that we still continue to try our hardest to get the message out. Because again, look, the towns and cities around us are laughing at us. They're the happiest people. Really, the winners of this election are the surrounding towns. That's who really won. The losers are here in the city. And honestly, the people that can get out, I guarantee you are going to be leaving. The people that can get out will leave. I tell you what, I'm tempted. I'm very, very tempted. I know that would make a lot of Democrats really happy. But we're going to see how this thing goes. I might be moving Filler Up out of Meriden. If they let this tax assessor run wild, I'm out of here. I'm out of here, and I'm taking the trucks with me. The only thing I can say that makes me somewhat more comforted about the tax assessor is that I'm on the appeals board. I'm on the appeals board. I'll be fighting her every way to Sunday if she tries to pull the crap she's trying to pull. But if council goes and does what I know they're going to do, we all know what they're going to do. We're in trouble. The taxpayers are in trouble. And that's why I go back to my statement before. You know, Elaine Cariotti put it best. I'm not worried about me. I'm worried about the people that can't leave. The people that can't leave. The people that really want change in this city. I do. I feel sorry for those people. The people that are informed, that really want change, but can't because you have brain dumb robots just voting D. The uninformed outnumber the informed. And the people that don't pay taxes outnumber those that do. So it's easy for them to pull a D because it doesn't matter to them. It doesn't affect them as much as it affects you. That's the sad reality about it all. Of course they made it that way. They want it that way. They made it that way because it keeps them votes. You know, I had an interesting conversation with an individual, again, holding Democrat signs, and we were talking about revitalization. And he turned around to me, he goes, "Oh, well, I see a lot of great things going on about Meriden." I was like, "Okay, what's that?" He's like, "The green." I was like, "Okay, well, that was Grant, but that's fine." Okay, what about Colony Street? He's like, "Oh, well, I don't know." I was like, "What do you mean you don't know?" Come to the fact he was from Hartford. And I'm like, Hartford? Keep your trash up there. Don't bring it here. You can't revitalize any area on low-income housing. But of course, in true Democrat fashion, we need more public housing. No, in Meriden, we do not. The same individual didn't know we were 18% saturated with affordable housing. And they want to bring in even more. Because it equals votes for them. It equals votes. That's why they care about it. They don't care about you. Democrats care about control. They love control. And when they can't control you, they fear you. And when they fear you, they need to demonize you. And then when they demonize you, they try to get others to not think for themselves. And they figure if they say it enough, people will believe it. And that's what's going to happen. And that's what did happen. Businesses are closing in this city. Businesses are going to be closing in this city. People who can get out will get out. And the rest of us are going to be stuck holding the bag. That's the bottom line. Did you do your part? That's the question you need to ask yourself next. I thought we did our part. I thought we were going to have a much better showing than we did. 11% of the city showed up to vote. How crazy is that? Only about 7,000 to 8,000 people showed up. In a city of over 60,000 plus. Wallingford, some of their precincts had over 90%. Southington had a huge turnout. And like I said, all these surrounding towns are all the winners of the Meriden race. Because they know it's business as usual in Meriden. Which means all the low-income housing is going to be shifted over to Meriden. And all the disposable income will continue to be on the outskirts of Meriden and inside the other towns. That's where businesses are going. Anyone who thinks the West Side is going anywhere in the next 2 years, nope. Nope. There's going to be nothing new over there in the West Side, other than your Aldis. The East Side, we'll see what we got going over there now, and we'll see what else comes in. Downtown, forget about it. Forget about it. Downtown, listen, less than 1,000 people voted in all of downtown. In all of Area 1, which covers downtown, less than 1,000 people voted. How can you expect anyone else to care about downtown? Well, you don't freaking care about yourselves. You don't care about your own neighborhoods. And you want us to worry about it? No. No. And that's why downtown, nothing will change. Nothing. Because the people don't give a shit, so we don't give a shit. That's the bottom line. I don't want to hear anything about downtown. Nothing. Absolute ridiculous. They should be ashamed of themselves. If you live in Area 1, you did not vote, you should be ashamed of yourself. looking around your neighborhood, looking over there on Colony Street, that place should have been packed with people. Every person should have voted in Area 1. But the only thing Area 1 proved is that they don't care about what's going on in their neighborhoods. They don't care. They're getting their free shit. They're good. It's sad. It's really pathetic. And I don't care. If you're from Area 1 and you didn't vote, and I hope you're watching this, you're pathetic. You obviously don't care about what's going on in your neighborhoods. You don't care about the friggin' shootings going on in your neighborhood. You don't care about the gangbangers around your neighborhood. You don't care about the blight in your neighborhood that makes your neighborhoods look like crap. That's why people don't go downtown. It looks like garbage. But apparently, you that live in Area 1 are perfectly fine with it. So who the hell am I to sit there and deprive you of the shit you want to live in? Go ahead, live there. Live in squabble. Live in with blighted buildings. Knock yourself out. Don't come crying to me for anything now. You made your bed. Now you have to lie in it. Less than 1,000 people to come and vote. In the worst section of the entire city. It's crazy. It's absolutely crazy to me. We do have a recount, though. We do have a recount coming up on Monday for Board of Ed between Hayes and Al Pronovos. So we'll give an update on that next week. I don't expect anything to change. He's up by, Al's up by 17 votes. But you don't live in Area 1, Linda. You live in Area 4. So that's what we have to look forward to, ladies and gentlemen. We have a city that doesn't care. There's no engagement in this city. That's something that needs to change. And we need to figure that out and how to do that. We really do. We need to figure out how to engage everybody. So as we sit there and start to reflect, if we sit there and start to reflect on what's going on and what did happen, yes, you're divided in 3 and 4, not in 1. We'll see what happens. We'll see what happens. We got to do some more outreach. Outreach is going to happen. And we have 2 years. 2 years, which goes by pretty quick. But something that did bring a smile to my face as I was searching through Facebook the last couple of days. And this is it. Listen, I always try to find at least one thing to make me somewhat happy after elections are said and done and it didn't go our way. But this is probably like the greatest thing ever. So I had to look up. So the New Jersey Democratic Senate president was defeated by a truck driver who spent $153 on his campaign. If that doesn't bring a smile to your face, I don't know what will. It made me giggle, made me smile. I kind of felt a little bit better for myself. After all, listen, these candidates put in a lot of hard work. It's not easy running for office. It's not easy running for office. It takes a lot of time and a lot of energy. So kudos to everybody that ran. So Norberto, Joe Carabetta, Dan, Bob, Ray, Dan, Lane. I mean, did an amazing job. And I guess if we should go through them, obviously Cortez won over Norberto. LaRue Graham Won over Joe Carabetta III. I don't know how the hell that happened. LaRue Graham probably had to be the worst candidate out of all of them. Dan Brunei won over Hutchins, which, catch this, me and her were at the polls together over at Maloney. One of the conversations I was having with liberals. And again, she knew nothing about what I was talking about with the $10 million. And then, as someone was going by, I said, protect our police, vote row B or E. She's like, well, we support the police too. And me and her got into a conversation about all the things that the council has done. And they said, and she's like, and I saw the look on her face kind of turn when we were talking about LaRue Graham sitting there saying that he doesn't feel safe with his kid out there in the streets. That if he gets pulled over at 2 o'clock in the morning. Or by Sonia Jelk saying she's fearful for retaliation for being on the committee or even speaking up. So all the bad things they were saying about our police department. Literally 5 minutes after our conversation, she picked her stuff up and left. And left the polling location. Do you know what's worse than an uninformed voter? You have uninformed candidates. Uninformed candidates. That just shows you the state of Maryland Democrats. They don't only have voters that are uninformed, their own friggin' candidates were uninformed. Quite sad, but true. And then Area 4, Bob Williams wiped the floor with Morgan, which is probably made me the happiest of all. And then, Bruce Fontanello won, which, again, he shouldn't even be in the city council. He should have just resigned. He should resign now anyway, still. Because he doesn't, it irritates the crap out of me. He does not deserve to be there. But then the great Ray Orlett is, in addition to the council, Chad Cardillo is no longer there after December 6th. Which, kudos. Because Chad, you didn't belong there anyways. So, yeah, I liked his response. I'm taking it. He was still pissed off at me with the conversation I had with his boyfriend. His boyfriend lost it because he's uninformed. So I'm taking it he was still mad because Mr. Chad Cardillo had quite a concession speech after everything was said and done. And he was not happy. Republican lies. And they want to talk about being unsportsmanlike. I don't think anyone on our side had anything but positive things to say, trying to move forward, looking at things optimistically, and we'll see what happens. But I don't know. So on Sunday, I should have some updates on my reading here, and so we'll go through that, and we'll go through what the agenda is going to look like moving forward. And then we'll get into some state stuff because I see Kathleen Abercrombie, our state rep over here in the 83rd, has started resigning from some of her posts. If anyone remembers, over the last month, I've been saying that come January, February, Abercrombie's going to be gone. She's going to be retiring. So I see that as already started. She's already started to wind down things. And it's going to be interesting because I know Kevin Scarpati is going to be running for state rep. And I guarantee you this one thing. Someone asked me this a couple of days. What would get you back into the ring of running for office? And I said, Kevin Scarpati running for state rep in the 83rd. Kevin Scarpati is running for state rep in the 83rd. Oh, you can guarantee I will be right there next to him running against him. Yes. So that will be interesting to see how that develops over the next couple of months. But yes, that will guarantee me a run for state rep again in the 83rd, is if Kevin thinks he's going to run. So I look forward to that one. We'll see what happens. We'll see what everybody does. I think Kathy will be gone, like I said, come January, February, after the session is over, and we'll see how it all plays out. But that will be interesting. All right, so until Sunday, guys, I love you. Keep your head up, keep your chin up. It's going to be okay. We're going to fight this. We're going to fight together. Just because we lost doesn't mean we're going to give up on all the things we've been doing. It doesn't mean we're not going to keep giving it to them and pointing it out when they're wrong and when they're doing bad things for the city. Now our objective now turns to outreach. Outreach, outreach, outreach. We need to get to these people. We need to find out how to get to these people. And we need to get them informed on what the hell's going on before it's too late. It's not too late yet. But it can get out of hand before next election. So we need to stay vigilant, and we need to make sure we're sharing our info with everybody. Until then, guys, I'll see you Sunday. I love you. I will talk to you all on Sunday. Peace out.
And a million faces formed together, made for elevation. And my soldier won't surrender faith. This I can father never burst to embers. The voice of the unheard. Love is the answer.
I gotta speak it, believe it, that's how I feel inside.
I can't sit here quiet.
You can take my heart, you can take my breath. When you pry it from my cold dead chest.
This is how we rise up. Heavy as a hurricane, louder than a freight train. This is how we rise up. Heart is beating faster, feels like thunder. Magic static, call me a fanatic. It's our world, they can never have it. This is how we rise up. It's our resistance, you can't resist us. Can you hear me? Are you listening? Sleeping and the shadows could be making history.